Yes, guys, what's going on? Welcome to Full Time Devils. I am Adam Mckola, and today I am joined by the legends that are Stephen Howson and David Pritt. We're here to have a little debate. I say a little debate. It's a huge debate on how we're going to end the 1920 season. It's been all thrown up into the air after this pandemic that has hit the world, and no sport, nothing's going on right now. We're all in lockdown. Steve, Dave, how are you coping with the current situation?
Oh, I'm doing my own fucking head in, to be honest.
Dave, you all right? You go to about 3 football games every single day, don't you? You must be cold turkeying right now.
It's been like nearly a fortnight since I've been to a game. It's like I don't know what to do myself.
It does feel like it's been more than a fortnight as well, doesn't it?
Oh, it feels like half a season.
What's the last game? LASK Linz away?
Behind closed doors.
Yeah. And the last home game was City. So that was a good way to go out at Old Trafford. Anyway, we're going to look at how we're going to end this 1920 season. I need you guys to help me because I'm still confused. There's a lot of different options on how we can end this. There's obviously cancelling it, calling it null and void right now, continuing it behind closed doors as soon as possible, waiting it out until we can actually get fans in there. Or I don't know, you guys might have another idea. So we brought ourselves here today to try and decide how we're going to end this. So do you guys have an option for who goes first, who goes second, or shall we? Let me think of a number. All right, I've thought of a number. Used to say a number between 0 and 10.
You've picked number 7.
9.
Oh, I have as well. Go on, Steve. I'm not sure if he's David Blade Dynamo or Stephen Howson, but come on, Steve.
You're too fucking predictable, our kid.
I am. There's one right behind me as well, which don't help.
What I would say is with what I'm going to suggest is there's an enormous caveat, and I'm sure there is with Dave's as well. The caveat is this can only take place if it's safe to do so. There can't be football because it generates a shitload of money thinking it can overrule the important thing in the country at the minute, which is the NHS. So football should only do this if they know for certain that what they're about to do isn't going to add 1% to the strain that the doctors and nurses and the medical staff are under at the moment. So that caveat being out of the way, because obviously this pales in significance to the major crisis that's going on around the world at the moment. But that being said, if they go, well, do you know what? We've got a way that we can continue this, and it might be a welcome distraction for the people who are locked in at home, then I think we play behind closed doors, but with a deadline on it. And the reason for the deadline is that the FA's own rules state that all competitions have to be completed by the 30th of June. So I would say 30th of June, you've got to be able to complete it. Now, I saw an article, I think you retweeted it earlier, from that Reddy lady. And she was, I don't like the way she comes across in it. It doesn't really sound like, it sounds strange the way she's put it across. But I would say that all being said, the very principles of what she was saying sort of make sense. And that's, can the players and the clubs and the essential medical and like club staff, can they completely get it? Can they completely get isolated? Can they completely eradicate the possibility that any of them have got the virus? Now, that's a 14-day quarantine. Now, I don't know if somewhere like St. George's Park could host 20 teams. If St. George's Park could host 20 teams, then I would say the clubs need to isolate on their own first. And then once they've isolated for 14 days and none of them have got the virus, they go and do like a 2-month tournament and they finish this shit. So that's going to basically need to start Monday. And then...
So you mean so in this scenario that you're suggesting, the games are not played at their home grounds?
No, play every game at St. George's Park.
So like almost like a festival of football, like Gary Neville kind of suggested as well.
Yeah.
The only issue with that becomes then, because you're going to have like caterers and things like that are going to be involved in that situation. And how long is that situation going to take place? There's 9 game weeks they have to get in, 9-10 game weeks. So you could realistically do that in 4 or 5 weeks. But are we going to have the Europa League recommencing, the Champions League recommencing?
That's it. That's why I'm not 100% sure. I'm not sitting here debating saying this is the best idea in the world. Yeah. This is what must happen. I'm literally saying this is one way that I think you could do it. I do think the behind closed doors thing is better, but behind closed doors, it's still a large amount of staff. You still have to have stewards present. There's still going to be dignitaries, VIPs, press, all sorts of people. If you're going to broadcast games, them guys are going to turn up. So for me, the simplest thing to do is to make it as few locations as possible. If you say, yeah, let's just carry on playing all the games as is behind closed doors, then you multiply the amount of people needed by 20. So I thought somewhere that's a central location. It's run by the FA, so there's no home advantage going to anyone. This is the home of football in this country, supposedly. There's hotels and enough training space for everybody to be able to go and do this. I think the only way you could do it is you think about it, man. If you used to say, right, we want 50 volunteers to come and serve the entire Premier League, but you've got to sit in isolation for 2 weeks before. They'd get inundated by people that would be up for doing
that.
They
don't even have to be volunteers, really, do they?
But you know what I mean?
All these clubs will be paying catering
struggle.
staff.
Yeah, you're not going to struggle for catering staff. You're not going to struggle for security staff. You could, in theory, isolate the entire Premier League for 2 weeks and then take a coach and go and put them at St George's Park. You couldn't just put the entire Premier League at St George's Park without quarantining them first, because that is just asking for trouble, because all it needs is one person to slip through the net there that's carrying it, and now the entire Premier League is fucked, and now you're going to have to keep everybody there anyway. So I think the best thing that you can do is to make sure you do some sort of super lockdown. And like I said, this can't take away resources from the country fighting. Football takes an absolute backseat to the lives of everybody else in this country. But if that can be in some way under control and the authorities and the government are able to allow this, then I would say something like that. Some sort of self-quarantine, maybe at the training grounds. They could easily get temporary accommodation sorted out at Premier League training grounds, I imagine. Pretty sure that could be done. Get that shit sorted, quarantine for 2 weeks. But then if you've not completed it by the 30th of June, write it off. And we'll just ride this thing out and we will start next season a little bit later. Because I think it makes no sense to just push this till like Christmas potentially, if that's what they're suggesting, and then start next season late. Why don't we just scrap this season as it is?
And then it's like, because if we do that, sorry, Steve, if we do that, then you have to kind of get UEFA to agree to stagger Champions League and Europa League, and there's all sorts of different things that come into play. Euro 2021, the Olympics are next summer. So if your season starts in, let's say, it's like, when does it finish? Does it continue again after the Euros? What happens to the following season after that?
You could start next season late, like September, October, and cram it in. But I don't think you could allow this season to interfere massively on next season. I think that just asks for... it's the pure domino effect, isn't it? But I don't think this can actually even come from the Premier League themselves. I think this has to come from UEFA. I think this has to come from FIFA. Them fuckers, them bent bastards have been squirreling away cash for nothing for years and years and years and years. Now it's time to go and open that bank vault in Switzerland. Get some of this cash out. For starters, make sure that the top tier, your Champions League, any team involved in European football, they're going to be fine. But below that, you've got an entire ecosystem which props up the people that are privileged enough to be at the top of that ecosystem that are going to need help. So this is where FIFA and UEFA come in. And it can't be the Premier League deciding what they're going to do. It can't be Serie A deciding what they're going to do. It can't be La Liga deciding what they're going to do. UEFA needs to tell them what they're going to do. And they need to do what they sort of tried to do, but I think the Premier League was like, fuck you, we're doing our own thing. They need to say all competitions which qualify for our competitions, UEFA competitions, need to be completed by the 30th of June, or we will use the last completed season as the template for where to start.
Or you just won't get your European spots?
Well, yeah. If you think you're going to just keep playing without our permission, well, then the next time you finish the season at a time that we like, then you can qualify. But for now, so I think the best thing to do is try and quarantine, like I said, if at all safe and feasible to do so. If it's not, then we just fucking scrap it now. If it's safe and feasible to do so, quarantine, and then let's have a festival of football at St. George's Park. Finish that shit by the 30th of June so people can actually go and plan and start next season in earnest. If you can't do that, roll it all the way back to the results. And I understand that fucks United. I understand that puts us in Europa when I think we was well on course to being in the Champions League next season. But you have to draw a line somewhere, and it has to be proper planning. Otherwise, we'll never catch up. You have to just kill it somewhere and then move on to the next thing. You can't just make this thing finish because you want them scouse twats to win the league.
Good point. Well made. Dave, do you have anything in regards to what Steve just said?
Yeah. Listen, it's a great idea what you're saying about St. George's Park and doing all that, but logistically, it's not going to happen. I mean, the Hilton Hotel there, yeah, it's a nice hotel, but it's not the biggest. So if you're having every Premier League team in there, plus the chief execs, all them are going to be there doing everything. The media side of it, Sky are going to be there, BT are going to be there. You're going to have coaches, you're going to have medical staff, you're going to have people who actually work at St. George's, you're going to have groundsmen, stuff like that. They're not all going to be staying there. So they're going to be people coming in and out. And to say that you're going to have like this quarantine St. George's Park, it's not going to happen because not everyone can stay there. There'll be people coming in and out all the time. So for that, I don't think it's a great idea. And also, as well, the fact that, say, like it is filmed by Sky and BT, not everyone has Sky and BT, and you could argue that point before the season saying, yeah, well, not everyone has it before this happened, but people used to go out to the pubs and watch it, stuff like that. But if you're stuck at home and you don't have Sky or BT, you can't watch the games. And that's obviously one of the big factors that Sky have got to deal with, because they're like the pubs and stuff aren't paying for Sky at the moment. So their income's going to come down low, and you got to think that they will Sky and BT will dictate as well what's going to be happening, because obviously there's a lot of money involved there. For me, I just think it should be over with.
So that's what we're coming on to. So this is your chance now. So you think we finish the season now?
Yeah. Listen, Euro 2020 was put back, and that was the reason was given so the rest of the league could continue, and then by the time it was done, it would just be doing next year. I think it's a load of rubbish. They put it back because they know it wasn't going to happen even if the league was finished now. Look at the Olympics. They've moved that back a year because they know for a fact there's no way they can get it in. It's not to do with what's happening before, and it's the fact that they know it's not going to happen. You've got this deadline now at the end of April where it's supposed to be back, but no one knows that. It's probably by the time we get to there, it's going to be moved for an extra month, an extra 2 months. We don't know what's going to happen. And just to drag it on and drag it on and drag it on, they might as well just get rid of next season if they're going to do that, because by the time it gets finished, we're not going to have a time to do next season. So I just think, just get rid of it now. Just have it how it is. So
what happens to the spots and the positions? And
well, I think you can't give the Champions League and Europa spots because obviously there's games in hand and stuff like that. Liverpool, I mean, nobody wants to see Liverpool win the league, but if it means stopping the season, just give them the league.
But if you give them the league, you have to give the rest of the spots, no?
Yeah, that's the thing. So I really don't think you should be giving Champions League spots out. I think it should be how it was last year. I mean, no champions, but I just think there'll be a big argument with Liverpool because they're so far ahead. So the worst comes to worst, just give them the title. But no one gets relegated. No one gets promoted, unfortunately. Just end it, and then we just concentrate now on next season, because nobody knows how long this is going to drag on for. And if it drags on for more weeks and more, everyone is thinking, right, end of April, we'll all be fine. We'll all get back to doing what we're doing. Not going to happen. Even if that was the case and everyone's out of this quarantine thing, things aren't going to get back to normal straight away. There's going to be time for that to happen. Yeah. And I don't even think it's going to be at the end of April. It's going to be extended again. So there's just no way that you can carry on this season and then expect the next season to go on as normal.
I tend to agree a little bit with you, because as well, like, I never really thought of it that way. But if they have their hearts set on finishing this season, like ending this season at some point, we could basically have no next season. So this season just ends. Like, let's say it didn't start again till December, and they just dragged it out till like March. We probably wouldn't have another next season until next. Like it just X out a whole campaign. Steve, providing Dave's finished what he's saying, have you got anything to come back to on that? Liverpool getting the title?
I don't think you can just award them the title. And for how much they're ahead, they haven't won it. And Joe, what? I almost would be for giving it them, because then I could just say, well, you didn't win it.
Asterisk.
Yeah, you didn't win it. It's the thing, they haven't won it, right? And for as much as you can say they're probably going to win it, cool. Mathematically, there's been sports where there's been collapses before, right? All the time, like monumental collapses. They're less of favourites to win this than what Leicester were odds against. Like, so there was more chance of Leicester winning the league. No, what's it? There was more chance of Leicester.
There's less chance of City winning the league than there was of Leicester winning the league at the start of the season. Is that what you're probably saying? Yeah. Yeah,
City are more likely to win the league than Leicester were from this position in this season. So you can't tell me that doesn't happen. Now, I know in 99% of the simulations that you might do on this, Liverpool win the league. Cool. But there's 1% chance. And that's sport. And the whole point about sport is that 1% chance, the giant killing, the comeback, all that sort of shit. You can't just give them something. Unless you are just going to give it them. And like I said, then I'm going to tell them that they haven't won it. Because
no team's ever won it after 29 games. So that would be incredible. I'd
like to say as well, in other sports, things like this happen all the time. I'm a fan of cycling and watch the Tour de France in the summer. And if one of the stages, if something happens, like I think a couple of years ago, there was a big mudslide and the road was cut off. They didn't go, right, we'll just stop here, wait till that's cleared and finish the stage tomorrow or in 2 days. That was it. The stage was over because they couldn't do it. And they just went on to the next stage. And that's how it should be. You shouldn't be waiting around thinking, right, let's do it's over. We're not going to, I just can't see us playing for the next month, 2 months. So I don't see the point.
And it's like if I don't know, if something happened in that Champions League final in Istanbul at half time and we all said, all right, the game can't be carried on, just give AC the trophy. The Warriors are going to win the 3-0 up.
That's exactly the same scenario.
Yeah. It's like, it is exactly the same.
At 89 minutes on the clock and something happens. Instead of calling the game with a minute to go, there's a fire in the stadium or something like that. Everyone has to evacuate. If UEFA had said, right, well, we'll just call it here because it's 89 minutes. Well, you know what happened in the last 2 minutes, our kid. So, no, you have to play it until it's won. That's the crack. And if you can't play it, then you have to scrap it. But I'd give them till the 30th of June because that's in the FA rules. I don't think they should be allowed to push it beyond that. And like I said, ultimately, this has to come from FIFA and UEFA. They're the ones that have to make the decision on this. And they have to make the decision on this. They're quick on making decisions when it comes to awarding bent World Cups to fucking Qatar and stuff like that. Let's see them actually make a decision for the good of the game for once.
I mentioned this yesterday as well, especially in England and Scotland. It's going to be a huge task in the summer. Now they've moved Euro 2020 to 2021. Also, the women's Euros are in England. Is all over the country. The opening game is supposed to be at Old Trafford, and they're going to be intermix with each other now. So all the policing and stuff like that, and all the travel people coming over, they're not going to be able to cope with it if the following season's still going on. Because the later this starts, just like I said, this next season's going to be later on, and if the Premier League's still going on, and the moment it finishes, right, Euro 2021, where there's at least 9 games in England, and then some in Scotland as well, and then the Women's Euro 2021, and that's all over the country. There's no way they're going to be able to cope with it. So they've got to get rid of this season now, start next season when they can. Even if that starts late, they've got to compact it to try and get as much in as.
Right then, just like Mickey and Snatch says, you stay till the job's done. Guys, we'll get into that quickfire section. Obviously, it's been more of a little chat between us all, but it's a huge debate, so we have to end it with a quickfire section. Steve, you can go first. You've got 30 seconds to summarise your opinions. Got the phone here with the time on it, so go.
We'd all like to see the season drawn to a conclusion. It would be the fairest thing to do is to allow the teams to play all the way to the end of the season, but you can only do that if it's safe to do that. If it's not safe to do that, then it doesn't happen. But if it is safe to do that, I think the best thing to do is to have a domestic tournament where you play the games as they're fixtured, but you play them all in one location. You play several games a week and you absolutely smash it out and you get it done. If you can't get it done before the 30th of June, you have to scrap it.
Bang on, 28.91. Even had a second left. You can do a lot in a second as well. Dave, I'm going to reset this. You can go for 30 seconds too. So let's go.
So like Steve said, it's about the safety really, and nobody knows how long this is going to go on. Could go on for a month, an extra month, 2 months, 3 months, could go up until Christmas. So by the time that's finished, is football really going to get started again? Are we going to really be able to get all these games put through? I can't see it happening. Next season's going to be ruined because of it. Would you not rather have a full season next season than a mixed season this season? That's all.
You have 5 seconds left. Bloody hell, Dave. You're still on fire at the moment. I suppose I've got to make a decision. We'll obviously open the voting up as well for however there's going to be some sort of button around my head there for you to click on and vote on. Steve or Dave or other and get your comments in below. So we've got on one hand Football Festival, which for all the laughs and jokes about Liverpool is something that I would really enjoy right now. Is shit being behind closed doors with no sports. But on the other hand, my head tells me, common sense tells me that it's impossible to finish this season in the current circumstances, especially when you look at the strain the NHS is under, the strain the police force is going to be under. You're going to need those guys to be a part of any sporting events that happen. How long is this going to go on for? We don't know. And I think if we just called it now, or called it, if it keeps getting delayed, or you put a deadline on it and call it then I think that's the best way to go, because you don't want it to start affecting next season. And for that reason, and not for the reason of Liverpool not getting the title, because Dave did say, give it him. And I kind of don't mind that as well, because giving it him after 29 games, it isn't a title. So I'm sorry, Liverpool are champions. David's won this. And I'll give it to Dave in the huge debate. Steve, you wouldn't have any arguments against that though, would you?
No, if they scrap the entire season now, because I think ultimately you've got to look at, you can't look at one season in isolation. You have to look at how our domestic season plays internationally. You have to look how it plays with next season. If you just keep playing this season, when does the transfer window start and end? The Premier League fucked himself last summer with that extra week of no transfers, ending our transfer window early. The rest of Europe was like, all right, dickheads, whatever. And they just carried on buying players. We screwed ourselves then. If UEFA goes to every other country, right, 30th of June, that's your cut-off, and everyone else abides by it, then UEFA can say, right, sound, 1st of July, as it always happens, there's your transfer window till the 1st of September. But if we're still playing games all the way through it, you've got registration windows, you've got all sorts of mess going on. The Premier League are not seeing the wood for the trees here. You have to put a deadline on it. You have to say, you can finish it if you can finish it. But if you can't finish it, that's your cut-off point right there. And then if it don't go past there, well, guess what? Now it's the 2021 season. Crack on. Because
you'd have even players possibly walking out, and that's something we didn't touch on. Players leaving mid-campaign if their contracts expire. Ade Onigalo is not going to be a United player when the season finishes, probably, which is weird, unless we sign him permanently, which we're all for. So yeah, it's a bit of a weird situation, but no matter what happens, we'll have some content for you every day here on Full Time Devils. And Dave and Steve, you're doing your bits, ain't you? Everywhere.
Yeah, man. Come and see what's going on at Stretford Paddock. I've just dropped a Football Manager stream. Listen, we are in this for the long haul, right? I've started with Stretford Paddock in the Manchester League, which is Division 11, right? So I reckon in about 3 real years, I might have them in the Championship.
I look forward to watching that. Dave, I know you've been on various pods and stuff. You got anything to plug of your own?
I was on Paddock yesterday. That should be out today. You're doing a youth review, just covering what the academy have been up to before all this happened.
What's your social handles? Don't plug Paddock. He's just done that.
On Twitter, David Pritt. Everything else is in the bio.
All right, nice one. Guys, thank you for joining us on the chat. This has been a huge debate. Thank you guys for watching Full Time Devils. Make sure you're liking, commenting, sharing and subscribing. We'll be back very, very soon. But for now, we're out of here.